ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to another edition of Plaquemines Prep Rewind. As always, at Salvo Seafood, and as always, joined by Jason Tongan. I'm Cody Juneau. Well, Jason, we're getting to the end of our second season of Prep Rewind, so we got baseball, softball to recap, some track, a lot of good sports.
Yeah, stuff to recap, stuff to look forward to, some different highlights to throw in there.
Football preview.
Football, of course. We'll have all that coming up shortly.
Yeah, coming up right after this at Salvo Seafood. As you know, when you shop Balestras, you're almost home. But did you know that they now have rotisserie chickens and they make their own fresh-baked French bread daily? It's just another addition to one of the best meat departments in the metro area.
And the most important thing is the meat department. They got the best meat department in the state of Louisiana, and you're going to get fresh stuff cut right then for you.
Who needs a chef when there's a Balestras?
For over 20 years, Russo's Pharmacy, an independently owned full-service retail drugstore, has been committed to providing quality service to the residents of Plaquemines Parish. We're the right alternative to shopping at the big chain stores because here, you're not just a number, you're a neighbor. Our pharmacists are friendly, knowledgeable, and happy to take the time to answer any questions you may have about your medications. We accept most major insurance plans, including TRICARE, Medicaid, and Medicare Part D, and invite you to experience a level of personal service at Russo's you won't get anywhere else.
Welcome back to Salvo Seafood and Plaquemines Prep Rewind. And, you know, normally we start with the guys. We start with baseball, but baseball didn't do that good this year, so we're going to start with softball.
Ladies first, right?
Ladies first, that's right. And we'll go down the road to South Plaquemines as they finished the year 14-12, 4-4 in district. We thought they would do a little bit better at the end of the year. They ended up not doing as well as we thought they were. We said they'd finish 14-11, so we were close. They were 14-12 with one game off. They lost a couple key games late in the year, which kind of hurt their playoff chances, and they just missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, they play in a pretty tough district. You know, it's not like there's no slouch. It's not like it's bad to be 4-4 in that district.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, right on the cusp probably next year they'll be into the playoffs.
Right.
So just keep it growing down there at South Plaquemines.
Yeah, we projected that they would make the playoffs, and they lost a game to Fisher that I thought the first time they played that they had a chance to win. I thought they'd win the second time, but they weren't able to beat Fisher and Thomas Jefferson. And that's two good softball programs right there. And then across the river, Phoenix. Phoenix had 10 games.
Amazing when they made the playoffs. Huh?
They went 4-6, 3-3 in district, and lost to the eventual state champion Hackberry in the first round. But congratulations to Phoenix on making the playoffs.
Hey, made the playoffs. Now, I guess we should put a small asterisk next to that.
Well, yeah, pretty much every team makes the playoff, but it's not like they were the last team.
No.
Well,
actually,
I guess they were the last team, but as far as their power ranking, they were like 11th in the power ranking. So really not every team makes it because everybody in the first round had a bye.
Yeah.
So they went straight to the second round, and they were actually the 11th seed, or the 10th seed, something like that. But it's still an accomplishment because they're still better than half the other teams in that classification.
You're right. So not bad there for the Lady Spartans over there in Phoenix.
Yeah, you know, like we said, not everybody actually makes the playoffs. So they had to win some games, and they faced some tough competition, like we said last show. And kudos to the Lady Spartans for kicking it off and having a good season in softball. And, of course, when you talk softball, Jason,
it's all about Belchase. Yeah.
You got to talk Belchase softball because when you talk about the cream of the crop, Coach Tony LaBella in this Belchase Lady Cardinal program has been the cream of the crop for the last few years.
Absolutely.
And he's had the, the great joy of having Jackie Johnson back. And she was the senior that led that team, finished 30-4, 10-0 in district. We said that they should finish 25-2, and they actually finished 27-3 in the regular season. Of course, they had a late season tournament at John Curtis, finished 2-1 in that tournament, and they lost to John Curtis. And we all know how good John Curtis is.
I mean, they're, as we talk about Belchase in 4A, John Curtis is definitely in 2A is absolutely the cream of the crop.
Well, anytime you play a team that's got like a 56-game winning streak, you're playing a pretty good team no matter what classification that is. And, of course, they won 3 playoff games. They demolished teams in the by-district, the regionals, and the quarterfinals. Kind of ran into a buzzsaw in the semifinals against the eventual state champion St. Thomas More. They lost 7-0, but it's come to a point where year in and year out, a trip to Sulphur is
Pretty much,
there's nothing
it's
less.
like penciled in.
Yeah.
You know, they'll always be in the mix. They'll always be one of those top teams in 4A. And,
Right.
you know, it's not the worst thing in the world to always be losing in the semifinals or the finals or the quarterfinals. You know, you like to get a
Yeah.
few championships thrown in there, but still a great season nonetheless for the Lady Cardinals.
Yeah, you know, they got teams and coaches that have never made a trip to Sulphur, and they always wish to go to Sulphur.
Yeah.
And the way Coach Tony LaBella has his team going is they don't look like they're going to be leaving Sulphur anytime soon.
Oh,
they look year in and year out like they're going to make that trek to Sulphur, make that drive, get that nice little send-off that they get every year from the school. And, you know, not to mention that they did go to Sulphur, but they were 30-4.
Yeah,
And the teams that they lost to were not slouches. Almost every team that they lost to made the playoffs. And like I said, John Curtis was one of them, and they
won the
won
championship.
state.
So that's two teams that lost to the eventual state champion there on the year. So, you know, if you got to lose to the best, right?
Yeah, now, next year might be, if I want to say rebuilding, might be a little bit of a rebuilding year.
But it might be more like reloading.
Yeah, that's the thing. Coach LaBella doesn't rebuild. He reloads at that program. And, of course, Jackie Johnson will be leaving. But they got a lot of good talent on this team. And now, I'm going to say it because I've heard it. There's rumors that Coach LaBella might end up leaving. But I got a feeling when it's all said and done, he's going to look back at this program and say, yep, there's no other place that I want to be, no better place that I can be than Belchase.
Exactly. Let's hope that's the case.
Yeah, and so congratulations to 2 of the 3 teams in the parish. They made the playoffs. South Plaquemines, like we said, you were on the cusp of making the playoffs. And we're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little baseball. And it's a little bit happy, but not like it used to be.
Not quite.
We'll be back with more from Salvo Seafood right after this.
When you have a prescription to be filled, bring it to Plaquemines Pharmacy. We make it easy to transfer your prescription. Just give us the refill information and we'll do the rest. Jeff DeMarco will answer any questions you have concerning your medication. We offer a wide variety of products from vitamins to cough and cold medicine to first aid. We have a drive-through for your convenience and we accept most major insurance cards. Plaquemines Pharmacy, locally owned and proud to serve Plaquemines Parish. Hey folks, Guy Motsinger here in the Jean Fro's Lumber Yard. And when these folks decided to make a multi-million-dollar commitment to you and me, the people of Plaquemines Parish, they were going to make sure that lumber was never going to be a problem when you need to do a little construction on your own. 7 days a week for you and for me, Jean Fro's Hardware.
And welcome back to Plaquemines Prep Rewind at Salvo Seafood. And Jason, we talked about softball, which is usually the highlight of the year. And baseball is usually not that much bad. Not that much bad. That's English, huh?
Yeah,
not that
that's
much
good.
worse. But this year, a little bit off to normal.
Yeah, kind of a down year really at both ends of the parish, if you will.
Yeah, Belchase finished the year 12-19, 8-2 in district. That's the thing is we say it's an off year, and they finished 8-2 in district.
Yeah.
The problem is those 2 losses were to your team.
Well,
Good thing we didn't bet for baseball.
I know. You've been decked out in green tonight.
But the good thing is the first game they got blown out, and the second game Belchase lost by 1 run.
So it's improvement.
There
you know?
was improvement, and they ended up making the playoffs. We said that they would finish 11-19. They were 12-19.
So they won
So
up.
we
to
do know a little
hey,
something,
yeah.
right? And let's see. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, and they lost to a team out of Lafayette. Yeah, St. Thomas More,
Just like the girls, huh?
just like the girls. And the girls lost 7-0. The boys lost 7-1.
So at least they got a run.
That's okay. So,
That's all right. We know where we left off.
I mean, but right in the middle of talking, there's a big Bud Light sign right across.
That's awesome. There's your outtake.
Could you even see that? All right. The girls lost to them 7-0, like we stated. The boys lost 7-1. So they got to run against the Cougars. But this is a team that looks like they might end up winning state too.
Yeah.
So if both the boys baseball and if the softball team, they lost to St. Thomas More, but St. Thomas More could end up winning state in both of them.
You're right.
You know they won in softball.
And what do we say about both softball? Phoenix and Belchase both lost to the eventual state champions. Well, that may be the case in Belchase baseball's case as well,
Right.
as they might be losing to the eventual state champions.
Yeah, and Coach Stockman had a young team this year. At least we thought it was a little young.
He didn't have a good Nick this year.
No, he did. He had a good Cody. He had a Cody. Great name, Cody.
There's the problem. I think right
Oh,
there.
thanks.
Now we know where the problem
It's not
was.
your fault, Cody Pons. He's just saying that because my name is the same. And poor guy, you get the delegation of my name, so that's what he's not saying anything bad about.
So what I'm
Cody
saying
Pons.
is, way to make the most of it. Right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Way to overcome the disadvantage of having my name, right? Thanks, Chase. Appreciate that.
Do what I can.
But, rebuilding year, kind of. Young season. I mean, young team, 8-2. Like we said.
Yeah, 8-2 in the district,
in
and
the
you still
district.
made the playoffs. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like there are teams out there that would love to be 8-2 in district and in the playoffs. So,
Right.
take it for what it's worth. That's a glass half full kind of
And
approach
you
to
can
it.
tell how this team got better as the year went along. And when those young guys grew up a little bit and they were able to find themselves in good position to play. And the good thing is next year looks like it might be a little bit brighter. It's going to be a different district. And no Shaw, so that's good.
It's going to stink for football now. We have to end our little rivalry every year.
Yeah, I believe that baseball will still end up playing them in a non-district game.
Probably so. You have a lot more leeway to do that in non-district
The
baseball.
good thing is that district gets a little bit easier, or a lot easier in baseball and softball.
Yeah, you're right.
Of course, that's a long ways away. But congratulations to the Cardinals on coming back from a tough beginning of the season and making the playoffs. And talking about a tough season, poor Coach Amos down the road. You talk about young kids. He was playing like 3 8th graders.
Seventh
I think he had a
graders,
7th
eighth
grader,
graders.
a 9th grader.
Anybody you could find. I think he called you to be on the team at one point.
Yeah, my eligibility was up, But, yeah, poor Coach Amos. It seems like every year at the beginning of the season, it looks like he has a team, a good team, and then something happens, either injuries, some disciplinary inactions, and he ends up losing those core guys. I'm surprised that they won as many games as they did, because you talk about a tough district.
Yeah.
Belchase is in a tough district with Shaw. That's all they got to deal with. Coach Amos and South Plaquemines had to deal with Fisher, who was a lot better than what everybody thought, and your favorite team,
Newman.
I've been hating the Greenies ever since I went to Belchase, and my brothers went to Belchase in the early 90s. One thing is, if you went to Belchase, you're going to hate Newman. You're going to hate the Newman Greenies. That's just how it is.
I think a lot of people, as long as you don't go to Newman, you hate Newman.
Yeah, that's
Unless your last name's Manning or something,
we thought that they would finish 9-17. There was a couple rainouts that they couldn't make up, and they ended up finishing 6-17. So 3 games below what we thought, but the losses were the same.
Yeah.
Just a couple more victories, and I think if they would have had those victories with those non-rain delay games, I think that would have pushed them into the playoffs, because they finished just like the softball team, just on the cusp of making the playoffs.
Yeah, so a good job by Coach Amos. He kind of just does the best at the hands he's dealt down there.
Right.
It seems like you said, he's always behind the 8 ball with something.
Right.
He starts out, there's a lot of promise. You go into the season, you're thinking this is going to be the year they're going to turn the corner, and just something happens every year.
Last year they won double-digit games. They had single-digit losses, and they didn't make the playoffs. And this year
They could have actually gone in with a losing record.
they almost went in with a losing record, right? And, the good thing is they're young. So next year should be a little bit better, right?
Right.
At least that's
we keep saying that. At some point it's going to come true again.
No, he reloads, but the problem is he keeps reloading, having to reload with 8th graders and 9th graders and 7th
He
graders.
reloads the young talent because,
Right.
the problem is, I guess, realistically, at South Plaquemines, football is king.
Right.
You got a kid that's going to play, they're not going to play multiple sports if they can avoid it down there.
Right.
And football is going to take precedent every time. So,
Yeah, where Belchase, you got 10 to 15 guys that just play baseball.
yeah.
And then you get some from football. You end up having like a 20 to 30-man squad. Where down at South Plaquemines, you have maybe
if you've got,
maybe 12.
Yeah,
And they're all playing double.
Two guys get hurt, you got a problem there.
When football goes into the playoffs, he's got to deal with that. There's basketball, and then there's track. And you take the basketball and the track guys, you put them on the baseball team, that's 90% of the baseball team. So not the best seasons for Belle Chasse and South Plaquemines in baseball this year, but better than what they started out, and the future's bright for both.
Absolutely.
And that's going to end our baseball portion. And speaking of futures bright, when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about the 2013 television schedule that we got for football. And, folks, we got a good one with a lot of good athletes. All that and more coming up on Plaquemines Prep Rewind at Salvo Seafood right after this.
In our continuing effort to supply the residents of Plaquemines the convenience of quality medical care, we're pleased to announce that ophthalmologist Dr. Butch Kelly is now available Wednesdays at Plaquemines Medical Center. Eye exams, prescriptions for glasses are just a short ride away. Don't wait 5 hours across the Belle Chasse Bridge when for urgent or emergent care, Plaquemines Medical Center is ready to see you. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day.
Hi, I'm Cohen Grappel, and I would like to invite you and your family to Sunday lunch or dinner with us at Little G's. Most of you know we have daily lunch specials every Monday through Saturday and specialize in fresh seafood dishes like our fried soft-shell crab Lafitte. We have a children's menu, the only non-smoking bar in the parish, and now for your convenience, we're open 7 days a week. Thank you for dining with us at Little G's.
And welcome back to Salvo Seafood. How's that catfish, Jason? See, I waited till he put all the catfish in his mouth to ask him a question.
He's a nice guy like that.
Well, we talked about baseball and softball. Now let's talk about the sport that you and I got started on. That's why this show got started.
Are you ready for some football?
Yes, I am ready for some football. You ready for some football?
I'm ready for some football. Ready for some sauce, too. It just came with the...
Here, I'll help you out.
Maybe you can pass some napkins, too. That'd be nice.
Yeah, what am I, your maid here? All right, look, don't be too messy. He's a messy
You
baby.
see how we are with eating, right? You see this compared to that? I mean, that's just how it is.
Love the fried pickles here. The fried pickles are, I'm not a pickle guy. I hate pickles, but I love the fried pickles.
You need the fried ones.
It's crazy. Anyway, back to football. 2013 football season will be starting in a couple months. And our televised football schedule, we are going to reveal to you now. It was revealed on January, March, April, May 1st on the Channel 10 rotating schedule. So the first game, Jason, is a game that we haven't quite got to see a lot of the last few years, but it's a good one nonetheless.
Let's just pray for good weather this year. What do you say? Because we're going to open this year like we always do, Belle Chasse and South Plaquemines. This year the game's going to be in Port Sulphur. Last year, of course, the game canceled due to Hurricane Isaac, and if you go back 2 years, the last time we got to do this game, it was moved from a Friday to a Monday because of Tropical Storm Lee. So let's hope there's not weather with a name to it that'll affect this game. Let's just get this game over with this year.
And the thing is I've talked to a couple coaches and a lot of fans, and South Plaquemines might have the best of Belle Chasse this year. Belle Chasse, from what I've been told, has a roster of about 66 right now, which is half of what they had, roughly half of what they had
almost
last
100
year.
kids last year.
And South Plaquemines doesn't have a lot of kids, but they got size, and it's always a good game. It's always a festive game, and we'll be happy to bring it to the people in the first game of the season, weather permitting. Week 2, when you say South Lafourche is coming to the parish, you would figure it was be going to Belle Chasse.
That's what I thought when you told me we were going to do a South Lafourche game.
Coach Scaines is bringing his boys down to Port Sulphur, and let's not forget, if Coach Scaines wins in week 1, he would have an undefeated regular season because he was undefeated last year. He would have never had lost in the regular season as a head football coach going down to Port Sulphur. So that's something that the Hurricanes.
That's motivation.
Not to mention it is a 5A football program. Yeah. So if there's not motivation enough, that's going to be another good game.
And you talk about a fan base that's going to travel.
south of Foos.
Even to Port Sulphur? They might take boats, but they'll get there.
Yeah. From Galliana and Golden Meta, they're going to be traveling to Port Sulphur, and that's going to be a very packed stadium down the road in Port Sulphur. Week 3, Coach Eric Willis of Brewley's taking the Panthers from the other side of Baton Rouge down to Belle Chase. They're only a 3A program, but this is a very good football team, very good program as far as, Randall Blugay, who played for the Patriots, played for LSU. Good, rich tradition with Brewley, and I think this is another team that's going to bring some fans. Good job by Coach Harrison scheduling this game.
What was he talking about, Willis? Oh, wait, no. That's something different.
Man, move on to week 4. We're going to be back in Belle Chase again. So far it's South Plaquemines, Belle Chase, and Belle Chase will be hosting the South Terrebonne Gators. South Terrebonne, big school. They're getting better in football. It's going to be a good test for Belle Chase to see where they're at, and a very good non-district game. Another one that's going to bring some fans to Belle Chase.
Yeah, it was South Terrebonne, which is I think in Chauvin. Or in Bourg. It's just south of Houma where that school is.
Not too far from South Lafourche.
No. They're going to bring a big crowd. From what I remember with South Terrebonne, they actually have a really good marching band, so it might be something you can listen to from across the field there.
Right.
But like you said, good tune-up non-district game for Belle Chase, and hey, at least it ain't Clark.
About to say, Coach Harrison, since this is actually his first year being able to do a schedule, and
see, they were worried about my health, so they brought a salad out.
Yeah, that you should have is the salad. Like I said, first year he's done the schedule, and he's done a very good job of his non-district games. That obviously he's going to keep the South Plaquemines game, but Brewley and South Terrebonne, 2 good opponents, good programs, good teams, and I like what Coach Harrison is doing with the first half of his schedule. We're going to be off week 5. We're going to be off week 5 and week 10. So you do 4 games off, 4 games off. You see how I did that for you?
Nice. It keeps my travel in order.
Week 6 starts district. Carver at South Plaquemines, and I think everybody remembers that playoff game.
Well, that's where we left off last year, was in South Plaquemines. They played Carver. Definitely a little revenge factor in there if you're South Plaquemines. Hopefully they can come away with the win this time. They won in the regular season and lost in the playoffs. So
yeah.
This being the regular season, maybe Carver looking for some revenge as they lost the regular season matchup. But like I said, they won where it counted last year.
Now we're going to be previewing these games more extensively during our preview show in August. We just want to bring out the schedule to you now. Now Carver doesn't have Raheem Falcons. Not the Carver team from last year, that's for sure.
No.
But a good game for Coach Figaro because it's going to be a good way to start off the district time because I think he's got 8 teams or 7 or 8 teams in his district now, a different district. And the following week is going to be week 7. O. Perry Walker is what we have written down at Belle Chase, but O. Perry Walker might not be O. Perry Walker because it's combining with Landry.
They might be Walker, they might be Landry, or they might be something totally new.
From what I've been told, O. Perry Walker and Landry is going to combine, and they're going to have a totally different name. What that name will be, we're not sure
call
yet.
it Algiers Pert High School. How about that? That's my vote. That's just me.
Hey, Algiers Point High School is not a bad name.
No. It's got to be Pert. Come on.
Yeah, well.
You're from New Orleans.
I'm sure whatever name they come up with is going to be a pretty good one.
I'm sure.
Let's hope they kind of take some of the O. Perry Walker colors and the Landry. Well, the blue was stationary, so maybe they can take the blue from the Landry and the orange from O. Perry Walker.
Let's just hope they don't make like a yellow and orange team or something like that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. But they're going to come to Belle Chase in week 7. Week 8. The defending state champions, the Carr Cougars, coming to Belle Chase. And week 7 and week 8 might not be good weeks for Belle Chase, but it's going to be good television because you've got top-notch athletes coming, like national athletes, folks, that's coming to Belle Chase to be on TV.
And, really, as good as Carr was the last 2 years and really as Belle Chase maybe wasn't so good, those were still fairly competitive games.
Right.
So, that's kind of become a rivalry. So no reason Belle Chase can't get up for that game. And by week 8 in the season, you don't know where either one of those teams is going to stand. You don't know who's going to be the cream of the crop. Maybe one of these teams is a surprise good or surprise maybe not so good. So really no way of knowing, but definitely Carr, like you said, defending state champ, always good when they're in town.
Of course, Carr doesn't have Jabbar Jalouk. He went on to La Tech, so they got a new coach. But Speedy Noel's there. All those athletes on offense and defense are there. It's going to be a tough game, but like I said, it's going to be a good one to watch. Guaranteed to be a lot of scouts.
Yeah.
For week 7 and week 8. And going to week 9, we're going to finish where we started, in South Plaquemines, where they take on the Gators of Fisher from Lafitte. Lafitte, it'd be quick.
Again,
if they just took about boat, they'd be 40 minutes.
If that Walker Road extension was done, they could be to that game in no time at all.
That's right. That's right.
Tell that to the parish.
But it's going to be a good game for Coach Figaro. Last year, of course, week 9, South Plaquemines was rolling along, and they were getting ready for Curtis. They don't have to face Curtis this year, so that's a good thing. South Plaquemines is going to be one of the top teams in that district this year.
Oh, I believe
and
so.
week 9 is going to be a big test for them with Fisher.
Yeah, Fisher played in the Crescent City Conference last year as they opted not to play in a district.
Right.
So this will be their first year back in district play. You know, a good local team that, you know, they're in Lafitte, so you don't see and hear too much about them. I know when I was at Shaw, they were always on the non-district schedule because they were right there, so we'd play them all the time.
I think they still play them.
I think they still do. And yeah, it's just a good team to have around. Kind of a smaller team, like you said, a 2A team.
Right.
Probably wouldn't be bad for maybe Belchase to get them on the schedule at his non-district game as well.
Well,
They
yeah,
put their Gators on. They got South Terrebonne.
they got South Terrebonne. They got Brew. Like I said, I like what Coach Harrison did with his schedule. And obviously, he might be stuck with that for 2 years. They don't know what the select, non-select thing. But that's our schedule. At South Plaque, at South Plaque, at Belchase, at South Plaque, at Belchase, at South Plaque.
That was poetic.
4 teams. I mean, each team has 4 games at home. Belchase gets the 5th game because they're playing at South Plaquemine. But a good schedule nonetheless.
Yeah. Should be some great action. A lot of new teams mixed in there. So I know I complained that I was always at a McDonough or a Clark game, and we don't have that anymore. We got all kinds of new competition there, so definitely, you're going to want to check that out this year.
Yeah, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that you haven't seen on the schedule, and the other 3, Carr, Walker, and Carver, not bad to have coming back again.
No, not at all.
Actually, one of those games, South Plaquemines is actually hosting Riverside, which would have been a good game if Belchase was playing away. But I think it's the O'Perry Walker week, and O'Perry Walker Belchase is just too good to pass up.
Right.
One thing's for sure, you and Coach Amos are going to be there week in and week out.
That's right.
Except maybe unless you have something to do on a Friday.
I know. I always get
But
that one random Mardi Gras event that ties me up. So
Coach Amos will be there. He'll be there every week, and we'll be there every week. And every 2 weeks we'll be at Salvo's talking about previewing games and recapping games. And for all you businesses out there, I'm going to be coming around in around June to catch you on this year's sponsorship package like we had with last year. We had 10 sponsors last year. We're going to come back and see you guys again. Hopefully you want to renew, and hopefully we'll get some new guys on because it's a great way to advertise at a cheaper price, but to celebrate the local businesses here, local in Plaquemine.
Yeah, you know, you're just kind of supporting the local high school sports scene by allowing us to do this show. We can kind of get the word out. I know I've heard from different people throughout the community that they kind of like the show. They like to see, you know, what's going on. Sometimes the local newspapers or lack thereof in local newspapers nowadays, you don't get the coverage of the prep sports the way you used to. So best way to get it is to come to a program like this where we can send it out to you, let you know the records, and let you know what's going on in the parish.
And we've been doing the prep game of the week has always been at the expense of CMA. So that's why we come out to get you sponsors, because if it wouldn't be for our sponsors, these prep games, we would have to maybe go to the school board to see if they would do a stipend to broadcast, because it's a lot of, I mean, you got a cameraman and Carl. Everybody knows Carl. I think Carl's one of the most famous people in the parish now.
I think
everybody
so.
Knows Carl,
everybody knows Carl.
And then you and Coach Amos, and of course I did it prior to then. And it's a great service that CMA actually has a chance to do for the parish, but it's because of the parish residents and your businesses. And we're going to take a short break and be back with last show's trivia question.
Does that mean I can start eating again?
That's right. You can eat now. And this show's trivia question coming up right after this at Salvo Seafood.
Lakeside Toyota's full-scale sale is on.
This Lakeside Toyota's biggest sales event, folks, with our lowest prices of the year.
Get 0 APR for 60 months and save $8,700 total on the 2013 Tundra Crew Max. That's 0 APR for 60 months for a total savings of $8,700 on Tundra Crew Max. Lakeside Toyota has hundreds of Tundras to choose, plus save on a great selection of Tacomas. Your new truck is waiting on you at Lakeside Toyota.
Hurry on out to the foot of the causeway, folks. Lakeside Toyota.
And glad to see Jason's eating a little healthy. Of course, you notice he's eating it before he gets to the catfish. Welcome back to Salvo Seafood, folks, and Plaquemines Prep Rewind. As we're rounding out Season 2 of Plaquemines Prep Rewind here at Salvo's. And, of course, last show's trivia question, as you see it on your screen, who is the Belle Chase softball field named after? You know, the funny thing is I talked to a few people, they didn't know. Jason, tell everybody what the answer was.
The answer is Robert Lewis.
It's Robert Lewis Field, for those people who didn't know. He was a coach in the 80s. It's actually, he was the coach when the now principal, Jenny LaHaye Carlone, she was Jimmy LaHaye, one of the best pitchers in the state at that time. He was the coach then, and now it's, now it's called him. It was dedicated, I think, when I was in school. So it's Robert Lewis Field. Of course, we didn't have a winner, but, you know, got to give credit where credit's due, right?
Yeah. You know, Cody thought that was the easiest question.
I thought it was. It says it right. As soon as you walk into Robert Lewis Field, it says, welcome to Robert Lewis Field.
Apparently a sign none of us have ever noticed. I obviously, you know, Cody went to school there, so he had the advantage of knowing that. We didn't have a softball field. So.
This next question's a little bit easier, and they have all the way until August to get it right.
Yeah, so you can jump on Wikipedia and look this one up.
The trivia question for this one is name one of Desmond Trufant's two older brothers that are currently in the NFL. Hint, Desmond was drafted in the first round this past weekend, to the Falcons. And FYI, he has a lot of relatives in Plaquemines, lots of aunts and uncles in the Ironton area. And that's why we wanted to say this question, because there's three brothers with roots in Plaquemines that are all in the pros, and I think that might be maybe the first time since the Matthews brothers were in the NFL. But a great tribute to that family in Plaquemines. And Jason, tell them where they can send their answer.
So if you know the answer to our question, name one of Desmond's two older brothers, send us an email to preprewind@yahoo.com. One more time, as always, preprewind@yahoo.com. Let us know the answer. We'll put your name up in lights. You'll get your 15 seconds of fame. You can also send us a tweet at Prep Rewind, or let me say Prep
Rewind,
because he has to do it that way.
Or you can call in to our office, 504-208-1207, I believe is the number, 504-208.
Leave Cody a message.
1207, leave us a message. Or like I said, if you want to advertise with us and you haven't found a way to talk to us.
Maybe he'll give you a discount if you answer the trivia question.
That's right. But name one of Desmond Trufant's two older brothers currently in the NFL. I think that's an easy question. I got a feeling one of the relatives from the Ironton area is going to give us a call, going to email us, or find us on Twitter and get the answer
Or
right.
just drive up the road and yell at you.
If you see me, you know I'm at the council meetings. You know Jason's going to be around the area visiting games and stuff. If you see Carl, tell any of us. It's like, hey, the answer's this. Okay, we'll put your name on TV. That's as simple as that.
That's right.
And some other local notes, Jeremy Vunovich, formerly of Belle Chase, signed with the Green Bay Packers as an undrafted free agent. And Jason, he's got a shot at making that team.
Yeah, he does. Went undrafted out of Louisiana College, has some ties to Salvo's. His,
Is that what we're saying?
No, that's not why we're saying it. His sister-in-law, Amelia, is the daughter of Mr. Sal. So,
yeah.
You know, good luck to Jeremy as he's up there in Green Bay.
And Quillen Carroll and Robert Kennedy, good luck to them at the track meet. Of course, the results of the track meet were not available to us before we filmed this show, so good luck to them and anybody else that we might have missed at track. I tried to catch as many as I could, but as far as Season 2, that's a wrap, right,
That's
Jason?
a wrap. You know what that means? We're going to finish and we're going to start eating again. And hopefully by next year I'll have a microphone that works a little better.
Well, what happens is he keeps moving it every time he wants to get
I'm
something
trying to
eat.
eat and I'm moving it around. It's cracking in and out.
He forgets that he's doing a show and he thinks he's just here to eat. That's the difference. But this show will be replayed all the way up until our preview show that we come back in August for, where we're going to preview the entire football schedule. So you can watch this multiple times, catch us Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And just because we're over doesn't mean you have to change Channel 10, as those two wild and crazy guys.
We're going to switch sides, right? Take the guy from behind the camera and put him in front of the camera.
From Real Talk NOLA, they're going to be on their show. Was that Popeye and Pals rolling? I
Yeah.
can't do that. My arms don't stretch that far.
I don't
They
remember how that worked.
They have everything that you need to know about the movies, and they're kind of like what's those two guys that talk about the movies?
Ebert.
No, not those two guys. The old guys from the Muppets.
Oh, Waldorf Statler.
That's who they are. You can't compare them to Siskel and Ebert.
Brother, I'm like kicking the camera right now. He's like, you didn't know that answer.
But for season 2, folks, that's a wrap. Congratulations to all the sports for this season. We'll be back with 2013 football just a couple months. Good night, everybody. And remember, stay classy, unlike this guy. Go ahead, you can eat.
Thank you.